Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
And continuing our celebration of Black History Month, we're gonna go over a comic by Dwayne McDuffie again, because last week we did Batman Blink. That was written by him, but this time it's gonna be one that is actually co-created by him and another Black artist, and that would be the Milestone character, the Milestone Comics character, Static Shock, you might have heard him called, but I believe it's just Static is his actual superhero name. And we read the comic. It's called The Rebirth of the Cool. So that's actually the reboot for DC, like when they wanted it to be kind of folded into DC continuity. I believe, and this is from 2001. So January 2001 is when that came out. So it's by Dwayne McDuffie, as we said, and John Paul Leon, right?
Mm-hmm. He did the art. It's that 90s art, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it's got 90s art. I don't think the art itself is 90s, because there's definitely other art we've seen that you're like,
that's like Hush.
Yeah, I think this is he drew clothes from the 90s and stuff, or I think like they reference rollerblades and things like that. But the actual art itself didn't seem like it was dated or anything. You could see it nowadays. So, and it's kind of like interesting. It looks a lot like before its time, as far like other creators I've seen since then. So maybe the people who were influenced by him that were like people like Alex Maleev maybe, or trying to think of the guy, I think he's the guy who did Alias, one of that kind of style, the guys who work with Bendis a lot. The Daredevil run that Bendis did this reminded me of that a lot. So maybe they got their inspiration from John Paul Leon, I don't know, or they just think the same, but it was similar. So what was your exposure to Milestone and or this character Static before this?
I mean, I'm a 90s kid. The only real intro to Static is the Static Shock cartoon. I watched that a bit and I was like, oh, that's cool. He's got like some kind of electricity and he like rides on a trash can lid and he seems pretty badass. Like he's hip.
Yeah.
And that's about all I knew of it.
Okay. I literally knew zero other than he's got electric powers and he had a TV show. So I had heard of Milestone characters, but like just that in the 90s there was this black I guess it's more than black. I researched it a little bit more because of this. So this is what I thought it was before we read this and before I researched. I thought it was these are a bunch of black superhero characters that black creators made under the brand Milestone for DC. And what it actually was it was a bunch of superheroes of all different kinds of races and sexualities, and like way ahead of their time. Like they had gay characters, they had trans characters, they had all this stuff in there.
That's amazing.
And in like 1993. So like that's crazy, and like really cool different takes on them too. So yeah, I should shout out. I researched all this. I say research, but I watched a bunch of videos on this from this YouTube channel called Blurred Without Fear, like Black Nerd, blurred, one word, and then Without Fear. So check him out. He did a great breakdown of like everything in the Milestone universe. And so yeah, there was a bunch of characters, and I knew about it. I knew enough like that there were black characters from black creators that did Milestone. That was my knowledge base of it. So that's why I was like, we should read some of these for Black History Month, because I know that they're black creators who created black characters basically. But that was not fully correct. That was just my interpretation of what someone told me some time ago or whatever. So, but I'm glad it was actually fleshed out by Blurred Without Fear. So, But yeah, so this character is basically like he's a Spider-Man type of character. Like he's not at all like that. Like his life isn't like that, but he's like a cool version of Spider-Man. Like where Peter Parker is, I'm a nerdy, you know, but I also am Spider-Man, and I have all these like, oh, Aunt May or whatever. This kid is like, he's cool, but he's smart. He's funny, but he's smart. You know, like it's he's kind of like the total package.
He is like he's obviously good with the ladies. He's like there was a lot of depth to the character that I didn't expect going into this at all. Like every time he came on, he was like he doubted himself, or he felt bad about something, or he gained confidence and courage in something. He made a hysterical quip about something. Like
oh, dude,
Spider-Man
he's so
quip.
funny. He's way funnier than okay. Depending on who you're reading that's writing Spider-Man, this was like right up there with some of the best writing Spider-Man that I've heard, like that I've read, where like his little quips just every time they make you laugh, like, oh, that's funny, or like a little chuckle, or oh, that's clever, or whatever. You know, like everything he said that was like a quip just made me laugh while he's fighting. So
yeah, or like you said, he's good with the ladies. Like he had little like horn dog kind of quips too that I did not expect. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it was a little, and that's the thing. Like Milestone was a little. They basically what I found out when I researched it was DC didn't have any creative control over them. It was just like, we agree to publish you, like with our stuff or whatever. So at least that's what I understand. If I'm wrong with any of this, I'm sorry. My like I said, my research was watching YouTube videos, so, and those people might have got stuff wrong. I don't know, but from what I looked at, it was Milestone Publishing was its own thing. That was like, oh, we want to publish comics, and DC was like, yes, we'll publish that with you, and like then you'll be on the stands like with our books, but like you have your own creative control. Like we're not looking at anything. And I think the only one, I guess there was one issue of, I think it's Static, the original run of Static from the 90s, where like the cover was him and his girlfriend making out on the couch, and like there's a condom in the scene and like stuff like that, like or like the wrapper or the, I guess an unwrapped condom and the in the scene, and like it was very suggestive, I guess. And DC was like, that's the only thing we're ever gonna call like stuff on, is you can't put that on the cover. And so they had to draw, like they basically drew like a heart around them making out, but then it just blacked out the rest of the stuff that was controversial in the scene. But as far as I know, that was the only time they like actually stepped in, was like, no, you can't say that. So these ended up being a lot more like, I guess, racy, but like not racy like in a gratuitous way or something, but just like they talked about stuff Batman ain't talking about, you know, like they're like, there's
innuendos and things.
There's a lot more innuendo. There's like his dad mentioned something like, oh, like something, me and your mom, blah blah blah, or whatever. It's like, wow, you would not see that in a normal DC comic title or whatever. So
no, it was cool because it felt more like true to life.
Felt realistic,
too.
Yeah. So it was, and you could totally tell like this is obviously these conversations have been had by these guys, or their parents had these conversations in front of them when they were kids.
Oh yeah,
or, it felt really like realistic. Whereas like sometimes when you read like Spider-Man and stuff, you're like, Aunt May and him, this is weird. Like, I don't know. Why do you care about Aunt May so much? And they don't seem to have like a full relationship or whatever, other than she's always worried about him. And he's like, I must protect Aunt May. It's like, can we get some more dialogue between them other than just,
there's not really that deep connection. Like I understand his parents.
Right. We're just supposed to be like, oh, it's his aunt. He cares about her. Uncle Ben. Like that's how we're supposed to see that connection. And I'm sure there's a run somewhere where someone's like fleshed out Aunt May and him before, but I haven't read that. And most of the ones I've read, it hasn't been like that. So
it's not well known for sure.
Yes. Yeah. You, like I said, you just,
if you're a hardcore Spider-Man, you probably know, but
it's kind of like if you just say like, okay, it's family, therefore you're supposed to care about her. You know what I mean? Like, so there's no reason though. They don't give a background on the insight on the relationship or anything. So, yeah. So that was cool. I guess we should dig in. This like we said, me and John actually both had the same, I think the same, from what he told me a little bit of, the same reaction to the very beginning of this comic, which was, what the fuck is going on? Because we didn't realize, because we didn't research enough, because we had to find this comic on, I don't know if it's an illegal website, but it's a website that just has comics to view on it. You don't download them. You just can scroll through them.
Scroll through the comics.
So we had to go to this website to read this because they're not in print.
That's one thing is sad is that we heard that this run is supposed to be like the best run of this character and like truly show how great of a writer Dwayne McDuffie is, and like you can't find this anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's supposedly that good.
So I looked into this too a little bit, and that's because or at least from what I understand. So they were going to bring the Milestone universe like hardcore back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
Like it was going to be called Earth M, and it was actually going to be like its own
Milestone.
Earth. Yes.
Oh, man. What?
And so what happened was apparently, so Dwayne McDuffie died in like 2011 or 12, and all of his rights went to his wife. And I guess when DC and the other creators of Milestone, the original guys who were on the co-owners, I guess, of the Milestone brand, something happened and they either didn't include her in that talk or whatever, or the hey, we're going to do all this stuff. And then she heard about it or something and was like, wait, what? No, like you guys have to pay me now. And that's the kind of stops this whole thing in its tracks. So from what I understand, it was just kind of like someone got left out or wasn't included in the figures of payment on things, and then that changed. Okay, now we can't do this.
Well, yeah,
because,
that'll do.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know,
doesn't matter if he's not. I mean, if someone owns the rights in it, I mean, especially if
and
it's his wife,
it's his widow.
Like,
so
come on now.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know what happened. I'm sure it wasn't like on purpose or whatever, but it was just like, you know, but definitely in a business transaction, if someone who wasn't considered at first in the payment of this whole thing is now 50% owner of the payment of this whole thing, that's a big stepping stone you're going to have to, you know, overcome. So I'm sure it will happen eventually and people will come to terms with whatever, but right now it's not happening. So, but yeah, so what we found out was this comic was, like I said, from 2001. So this is the reboot, or not reboot, but like then I guess it would be called Volume 2 of Static Shock, or Static. This one actually says Static Shock on the title. So, and I guess it was going on maybe this is like the year after the show was on. So it was definitely trying to take from some of that. And they even have him, I don't know if you noticed in the, so his costume isn't the same in the comic book as the show. But in this, he was in like a mall that gets attacked, and he's like, oh, I don't have my costume. I'll just throw this stuff on, and it was like what he wears in the cartoon show. Yeah. And I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that's cool. They're like referencing that or whatever. But yeah. So I guess we should just start from the beginning and just kind of work our way through. But yeah, what were you confused the most about? When you started reading this?
The thing I was most confused about is honestly what we have talked about before, and we probably should have known going into this, is that a lot of DC comics that you pick up that are later comics expect you to know the entire backstory of what happened the last like 10 years of this character.
That's what, like, literally I started reading the first page and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like it just throws you in the middle of it. And it was like, okay, I get like the basic plot. Like the beginning is just, okay, first off, it starts, the first the text on this thing is a text box, and it says the city of Dakota. Okay. So either if it's a city of Dakota, then it's, you know, a world that we don't have right now that I know of. There's no city of Dakota that I know of. And it's like a big city. So it's not like some,
it's kind of Chicago-esque.
Yeah. And so, and like this guy, you see this guy who's electric as well, I guess, he's running from these guys with these like they kind of look like pickaxes.
That's
but they're just staffs, I guess. So, and they're tracking him down, and it seems like he's like he's running at first, and he's like, screw this, I'm gonna fight. I guess he's like too tired or sick of running now, and these guys just electrocute, or I don't know what they do. They zap him.
There's something, some kind of power that comes out of their staffs and zaps them.
Yeah, and then it says there's dialogue balloon that says target identified as I'm gonna say this wrong. Pui, maybe.
I think
Pui Chung, codename Third Rail. So that's another thing about this book is they throw a lot of names in here of superheroes, and I'm like, oh, are we supposed to know who this is? I got to remember that name, and then. It was just because these people are in other books for Milestone that they were, I guess they were like relaunching or rolling into the DCU. And so, or at least more fully rolling into the DCU. And so they were throwing these characters in as like a nod to the past. But like you said, I didn't read the last 10 years of comics on this stuff, so I didn't know any of this. And then they weren't really integral to the story other than they're getting captured.
Yeah.
So Third Rail is from another run or another title that Milestone did called the Blood Syndicate. So that's what that's from. I had to research all this a little bit. So, but yeah, and then the next panel is us getting introduced to Static himself as Virgil. Which is his non-superhero. This is Clark Kent, I guess. He's not pretending to be Virgil, but yeah, he's just Peter Parker. There you go.
Yeah,
he's Virgil Hawkins. So yeah, and it's just him hanging out, talking to a girl on the phone. You find out like basically he's not Static anymore.
Yeah.
So he's given up the mantle of Static.
He's given it up. There's something that happened, and
and you don't know what it is. Like he's just like, yeah, I don't. Summer's been busy. I don't got time for that anymore. And her name is Frida Gordon, who is, I guess, like his best friend. I don't know if it's his best friend, but it's a really good friend.
Definitely really good friend.
Yeah. And so, that was the other thing. So they call these, they mention bang babies. That's what they call superhero people in Dakota. And I guess what it is, so at the beginning of the Dakota verse, like in the first pages of, I don't know what it was launched first, I guess Blood Syndicate maybe or something. There's like people in I don't know if it's a riot or if it's just like a protest. And it's a bunch of like a giant, think of like Occupy Wall Street or something, right? So there's like a giant protest or riot happening. And the police come in and then they shoot this new tear gas that they've been given that has like a mutagen in it that they didn't know, like it's a new formula or whatever, and that formula had this is called Q juice is what they called it. And so the Q juice in it turned everybody in that crowd or in that area, turned them into mutants basically. Like they all got powers, and that's how Static got his powers. And so they call that day the Big Bang, because then all of a sudden everybody had powers in the city and stuff. And then that's why they call everybody bang babies. So just the weird language that they had in some of this, I was like, what's a bang baby? So, yeah, but then, so like I said, he's talking to Frida.
Yeah, they're on the phone, and it's also like right away you kind of get a sense of him. Like I said, like he's obviously like witty and funny as he's talking to her, and they're close friends, and you can't quite get a grip going on, but he's like a horn dog right out of the gate. Like he says that her body's a temple, and he's never been to temple, but he wouldn't mind going someday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's kind of racy for a DC comic, but
yeah. They're arguing about him. Who should he be? Should he go back to being a superhero? Because she obviously knows.
Yeah, she knows he's Static. So
yeah.
they're openly talking about him being Static.
Yeah, she doesn't know why he quit, but that he shouldn't just walk away from it because he has this ability.
Yeah. So but then he's like, basically, I'm not gonna do it again, and so like kind of drop it or whatnot, and like something happened. You don't know what as the reader, so I don't know if they mention it in the old run. I'm assuming they that's like the last issue is this happens.
I would assume so.
But this is just picking up after it's affected him. So I don't know if that part where he was affected by it is in the last issues or whatever of the last run. But
it seems important to his character arc, so I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, like you could see like in the very end of this, he says, like while he's talking to her, she's trying to get him to go. And he's like, look, I can't save the world, Red. He calls her Red. You can't save the world, Red. I tried and failed. That's a fact. Like, so we know he did something and it just did not happen. Like he failed at it as a hero. So, or at least that's how he sees it. So, so then like, we're introduced, cut to, that was another thing this thing did. It didn't really, like take you, it didn't set up like this is exactly where we are because it's all in one city, so you can't be like, oh, San Francisco or whatever. Like it's like just some island or whatever. So you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is far away. I don't know.
Yeah, we just cut to another area, I guess nearby or whatever.
What I wanted is like in like Rick Geary's the episode we did on H.H. Holmes, the Treasury of Victorian Murders. He did like a little map of the city. So you knew like where all these things were. I'm like, I wish they did that. So I could see where everything is. Because like as far as you're like, okay, I guess, okay, they're surrounded by water because there's a port. And so is it like New York? I guess it's supposed to be kind of like New York. It's kind of like when people talk about New York and they're like, oh, I don't live in the Bronx. I live on the West. And you're like, it's all New York to me. York, yeah. I don't know what that means. So, but yeah, so it goes somewhere. Looks like the docks. And, and it's like a factory or something, and the people that were capturing, these people are getting ready to capture the people. I guess the people with the pickaxe looking staffs. They're actually called the traffic men. I'm not sure why. I guess because they traffic people. Yeah, they kidnap people. So maybe that's why they're called the traffic men. But they're like juicing up, like literally. Shooting
something in there,
yeah, like Bane or something, like we're juicing up for battle, and they've cornered some bang babies. That's where you hear that term said for the first time, and there's like once again, there are 4 more people from the Blood Syndicate or other titles that you don't really need to know them other than if you had already read the stuff. You'd be like, oh, cool, it's them. So.
It's more heroes that they are going after, more bang babies that they're going to capture. Yeah. For some reason.
Yeah, and this one's I think this one's supposed to be like more poignant because it's like, oh, it's all of these guys that I know, but yet I don't know them. So it wasn't this one. This didn't hit as hard as maybe it was supposed to because I didn't know. And then I thought like they show Hardware, and Hardware is he's like an Iron Man-esque. I won't say. He's not like a copy or anything. He's actually ahead of Iron Man on a lot of stuff. So, but in this, it's a paralyzed man who wears a suit to fight bad guys. So it's like idea is similar to Iron Man where he's wearing a suit of armor. So, but this is like it just goes to him after. Like it says, like I said, it just says the next name of whatever part of the city he's in. So I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like we went from the docks then to Westwood. I'm like, okay, I don't know where that is. I guess it's somewhere else. Like, but then I thought it was the bad guy because I'm like, oh, it's a dude in a chair. Like I just figure him being like Claw or something. He's looking at a big computer screen or whatever.
Yeah, you think he's like watching everything.
Yeah, and then they show him the way that John Paul Leon draws or like his art style. It might have been the guy who colored him. I don't know, but there's a lot of shadows in the shadows. But I think it's supposed to be like, oh, if you've read this before, oh, it's Hardware. But I'm like, it's the bad guy. Yeah, all he needs is a cat, and he looks like the bad guy. So. Yeah, so I didn't get that, but one thing. So that's the introduction of Hardware, who's another character, like another series title that they had at Milestone. So he's actually prominent in this. So Hardware is the first person that is actually like in this comic book that we read.
And he'll see him going forward.
Yeah, he's very like intricate to the story. So that was cool. Like he's introduced. And then one of the things I didn't know about Static Shock is that he's a nerd, which is cool. Like, and not like a nerd like Peter Parker's like a science nerd, which is like, I guess that's what they thought of nerds back in the day. It's kind of like this is my problem with the what's that show? Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
All right, when people, it's like people who aren't nerds writing nerds. They they're like, oh, like you love science and stuff. I'm like, all of my friends are nerds, and we don't talk about like wormholes or whatever. Like, I don't know. They just think it's all like, what's the guy from Futurama, the professor or whatever, like they all think that's a nerd. I'm like, no, a nerd is someone who really, 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 really likes X or whatever, like anime or
it's like
books.
a specific type of nerd. It's like, I like Star Trek, but I don't like Star Trek so much that like I like learn all of the like science in Star Trek to understand what they're talking about or speak Klingon.
Yeah.
Like, but I like Star Trek.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's different levels of nerddom, but also not every nerd knows like, the every number to pi or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's what they make it seem like. Oh, that like and that's how Peter Parker is. He's a nerd, but like he's just a science geek or whatever. Like he's just into science. That's fine, but like he doesn't like any of the other stuff that has to do with nerddom as we know it now. Like the common parlance of nerd means, someone who likes comics and movies and, pop culture and anime and whatever, K-pop and all that stuff. So like, that's why this was fun. Cause it's like, obviously
he's playing video games with his friends.
Dwayne McDuffie's like, this is what a nerd is. He's playing games. He's in a place called Fandom's Lair, which is kind of like Dragon's Lair, one of our local comic book stores. It says comics on it, they're definitely, they're playing video games. It looks like they're playing a Dreamcast, which, that's a brand new thing back then. So, but yeah, like they're playing their stuff. And it was just nice to see like, okay, like this, they know what a nerd is or whatever. If they're gonna do like
I feel represented.
Yeah, exactly. Representation is important, and nerd representation is important. So, and this is where we get introduced to the weird like love triangle that's going on, but no one knows it's going on. Which is, Virgil or Static has his friend Frida. She likes him, you find out, which you kind of see in this, but then Virgil has a girlfriend, so there's like a weird love triangle. And apparently before he had his girlfriend, Frida was like maybe didn't really like him like that, but then now that he's going out with this girl, she does like him like that, and so it's like a weird love triangle, which was kind of interesting to see. Usually in comics like this, it's the other way. It's the guy is the main person who's like, I like her, but she's got a boyfriend or whatever.
I like her, but I also like her, and it's
well, that's like once again Spider-Man. This is like Spider-Man if it was written better, like if the original Spider-Man, like if obviously Spider-Man set like its own thing in the 60s, so it's like it's the first one. But usually the first one's not the best one. So you're going to have like better versions of this thing. Like, WD-40 is named WD-40 because that was the 40th try or whatever. WD-1 sucked ass. So it didn't work. So this is like, this is the WD-40 of kind of an archetype like Spider-Man.
Wow.
Where it's like he's making, it's like, okay, it's not interesting if he's the guy that's like, I'm so sad because, Mary Jane doesn't like me. She's going out with Flash Thompson or whatever. It's like, no, he's the guy that they want. And, the girls are the ones fighting after him or whatever kind of thing. So, which was an interesting take on it. And also like a girl in the friend zone is kind of an interesting take on stuff too. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was like a refreshing kind of relationship. What do you, any takes on that? Or?
No, yeah, I agree. That's usually it's the common denominator is that the guy's in a friend zone, and he's like, "Oh, I really like her. How do I show her that?" And it's kind of the opposite. So it's nice.
Yeah. Okay.
As a man who's personally in the friend zone many times.
Yeah. I lived in the friend zone.
Yeah.
I have an apartment there. But anyway, yeah. So him and his girlfriend, they leave the arcade. They then like, I guess they want to. They want to
go see a movie.
And so then Static's riding home on his bike, and you find out like, oh, he can like make the pedals move on their own, or not the pedals, but the wheels. So he doesn't even like pedal or anything. He's just like an electric bike, basically, like a scooter. And then while he's riding, this girl or this lady runs up next to him.
Her name is
Blitzen, which is a funny name, I thought. And you find out that her brother's name, who got captured, is named Donner. So it's like literally supposed to be Donner and Blitzen. But yeah, she's part of, and it was nice of them to include this. They say Blitzen is a member, like in an asterisk or whatever. Blitzen is a member of Heroes. The super team Static used to be a member on. So that was nice. They threw that in there, so I didn't have to figure out what Heroes was. But yeah, so I guess in the original run,
yeah. Otherwise, you would think it's a generic name. It's like, oh, that's the name of the group.
Yeah,
it's
I think
Heroes.
It actually maybe stands for something, or it's just it's all bold. So the whole name. So yeah, she's like, Donner's been missing. And like something's going on, and
something happened with all the Bang Babies. Like there's a bunch that
there's a bunch of missing, but specifically her brother's gone. So it's kind of like that. Like, and you knew him because you worked on our team or whatever. So, basically, you need to help. And he's like, look, I can't. All right, like I'm not that guy anymore. Something happened, and it ain't happening. And then she's like pissed off because she's like, fuck you, Virgil. Like, she didn't say fuck, she said, screw you, Virgil, like, why don't you help us or whatever. Then runs away. And then before he even like thinks about it or has time to really like think about it, a limousine pulls up next to him. And see, that's why I thought this was the bad guy too. I thought, oh, he's getting approached by the bad guy about something or whatever. But no, it's Hardware. Hardware pulls up in his limousine and like shows him wants to show him what's going on with the Bang Babies. Like he's gonna show, because he's been tracking it. In the scene earlier where I thought, oh, he's like Claw looking at a computer screen, you see a bunch of red dots all over the cityscape looking. So it was him tracking all the missing Bang Babies. So he's like, oh, something's going on. We got to find out what it is. And I need your help, kid, because I'm in a wheelchair and I'm not really...
Yeah, and you have personal stakes in this, basically.
Yeah.
You're a Bang Baby, too. Like, we need to...
Yeah, eventually they're going to come after you. So, and he's like, no, I can't. I'm not going to do it. And he's like, all right, calm, like you need to, but he's not going to do it. So then it's like later that day, he's at the mall with his mom and dad. He's shopping for clothes. And then there's a picture of a panel of the traffic men, the bad guys with the staffs. And they're in the mall too. And they got ratings on a Bang Baby, and they're following her. And she bursts into the clothing area, I guess where Static was. And she worked for Heroes too. And what was her name? Do you know what her name was? Starlight.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't know. It looked like she was like ready to fight them though. Well, I don't know if they were chasing her or if they were actually chasing Virgil, but they show up at the mall, or they're at the mall because they had a reading of the Bang Baby. So they're like, oh, we don't know which one it is, but both of them are. So, but Starlight shows up to, I guess, protect Virgil. And, she just gets like, I thought this was like, he's like, stay, I'll take him. And just like, nope. Like instantly you're out. And it's like, oh, that's okay. That's less than I thought you were going to provide for him, the way she was talking about it.
Yeah, because she seemed ready to step out the plate.
She's like, I'm here. Yeah, you thought it was just like Superman or something or whatever, but
then she told plasma, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah, something's different, I guess. And so the funny thing about this scene, I thought was, I don't know if I was talking to John about this. So in the show Static Shock, he wears like this big overcoat jacket that's got yellow on the inside and purple on the outside, and he wears like a ski mask, like a half ski mask that covers his eyes, and he doesn't look like that in the old comics. And so in this issue, he was like, oh, I'm in this like clothing store, I gotta find, you know, something to wear to hide my identity, and he gets a coat with purple with the yellow on the inside. And
I'll just throw this on.
He even says like I need something to disguise my face so folks don't see me. Oh, and he like sees this white, you know, a mask. He's like, must be for cross country skiing or something. This will be good to cover my face, and it looks just like the TV show, which I thought was funny. I think they were like trying to make fun of or like reference the fact that he looks different in the show.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fun that they did that. And then, that's like the end of the first issue ends with him dressed up as Static again, or as Static Shock again. So, that issue was pretty like straight. It was pretty like, here's everything all at once, but you got a good sense of like who he was, which was cool. And then,
for them expecting you to know like kind of the backstory of the Bang Babies and like what happened, like at least you kind of got a sense of where Static is, who he is as a character. And
at least they didn't expect you to know him like that, you know, like, so, because they're like, I'm assuming, I mean, I'm sure they know in a number one issue, it's a bunch of new readers picking it up. So you can't be like, that'd be like picking up Spider-Man or something and being like, oh, my Aunt May, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, who's Aunt May? You know, like you never see her. He just talks about Uncle Ben and blah, blah. You don't know anything about their backstory. You don't even know he's bit by a spider or anything. So, so that was kind of cool that they actually included all that in it, which is, I mean, of course, Dwayne McDuffies great writing on it. So, so anyway, so issue 2 starts with them fighting, and like I love the cover of this issue. It says he's got the costume that he just put on, and it says a new costume, classic attitude. So I thought it was like funny that they're kind of referencing that costume. But yeah, he's fighting them, and he's like quipping with them. Do you have any fun quips that you wrote down?
Oh yeah, I like that he was funny and quippy and like Spider-Man, but like I said, there was fun. Like he said that the bad guys were kind of working like a pride of lions, and right now he's a Christian, lightly buttered and catnip.
Yeah. Well, even that, like he even references his spider sense tingling.
That's right.
Which I was like, wow, that's
straight up. Yeah,
that's straight up, because not only because like he is similar to Spider-Man, but also, or he's like DC's Spider-Man kind of, but also because like to reference Marvel is kind of a big deal if you're a DC book or whatever. So, but I guess because they're Milestone, they could kind of do what they wanted.
That's right. It was my spider sense is tingling, but oh wait, no, it's just 20,000 volts of the like whatever plasma things they were shooting at him.
Yeah. And then, you know, I like the fact that he's fighting him, and he's like, this is where you get to see like what his power set is if you've never read Static before, because he pulls some skis off the wall and he starts flying around on the skis because he can like electrify them. So I guess he creates like an electromagnetic field around whatever he wants. But then he's like, hey, you guys are pretty dumb, like fighting an electric hero with metal staffs. So, like, he just basically fries all the staffs and then picks them up and takes them away from them. But they all get, like, shocked or electrocuted from it. So, basically, I guess he gets lucky because, you know, they didn't know who they were fighting with.
Yeah.
But, he basically takes them all out. And then, and then this group of heroes shows up to get Starlight. And I guess it is the group heroes that he was part of. So we've never seen them before, but they show up, and he's like, oh, hey guys. And there's Payback, who's like this big monster looking thing.
Kind of made me feel like Clayface a little.
Maybe it looked more like a frog or something. I don't know. It was like, I was like, whoa, this is like a weird, it kind of reminded me, this is bad. Some of these characters reminded me, and maybe on purpose, of, what's the name? the ones from Rick and Morty.
Oh,
Like he reminded me of
the
ants,
Vindicators?
a million ants or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. He reminded me of a million ants just because he's like, this big looking blob kind of thing. And then so there's Payback, Iota, Blitzen, and Donner, but he's gone. And then this one called Gloria Mundi, who's kind of like a Dr. Manhattan-ish looking character.
Yeah, kind of like out otherworldly. For
Yeah. She's like, or maybe Martian Manhunter style. I don't know. But she has like cosmic powers because she like, at the end, she kind of takes on the bad guy like that. So, but this character there's one character that's awesome. Iota, I really, really liked her. Like she can, kind of like Ant-Man. She has little things like she can make things small and then make them big again. I don't know if it's with a chemical or just powers that she has, but so like she in her utility belt she has miniature things that she can fight with. So she's got like a miniature bat and a miniature whatever, and then when she's fighting, she's like pulls this little baby bat out, and then she like makes it
big.
What are you gonna
do with that?
Yeah. And so I thought that was fun. I thought it was a really cool take on like Ant-Man, who doesn't really do that while he's fighting. I mean, he makes himself big and small, and he has control of ants, but he doesn't like while he's fighting hasn't like shrunk or enlarged stuff that he's using as weapons that I've read. At least I haven't read.
Not in the comics, I remember. In the movie,
they do that with like the building
and the truck. And...
Well, he does that with in the movie he's got those little discs that'll shrink or embiggen stuff.
Yeah,
it's embiggen. I assume that's a word that Futurama used or that the Simpsons used. But yeah, in the movie they do it a little bit more. But yeah, It was a cool idea and I liked it a lot. And I don't know where her name is from, like what it's referencing. Iota, maybe it's like one iota, like the smallest thing, because she seems like a small person too, like she seems short, so maybe that's why she named herself that. But anyway, they're like, you need to help us. You got all these people are attacking and you got to help us. And he's still kind of like, nah, let me think about it.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And then the trash men realize that they're beat, so they hop in like traffic men. Pardon me, it's trash men. Traffic men. They hop in like this portal kind of thing, and
like a portal appears, and like we're out of here. Yeah. And and then one of the things I liked about this is the things that you don't get to see too often in like a Spider-Man or one of those kind of comics is, it's like when he's out of the store that got attacked. His parents are like, oh my gosh, I was so afraid. I saw the explosion. And then like, they're walking away and his parents are like quipping to each other and talking, and you get to see like their relationship a little bit. And it's funny. And even John was saying like, oh, he's a horn dog. Well, like his dad, yeah. His dad's talking. He's like, they're like, oh, he's fine. He was in the explosion, but he's okay. He even got a new jacket. And then his mom's like, he wants to go see his girlfriend, and his dad says, "Makes sense. Explosions make me horny too." And then I just thought that was funny. They're like, even his dad's got little funny quips and stuff. So like stuff like that, you get to see like relationships between the actual people that aren't the character. Kind of fleshes it out more, like how his family life is. But then we actually go to the real bad person, not Hardware, who I was mistaken as the bad guy. You get to see this cloaked figure.
Yeah, I love the cloak. I just thought it was cool. Like, there's the red cloak. It very much was like, oh yeah, this is the Sinister character. Like, very classic feeling.
Yeah, and he's got this juice, like this stuff in a vial, and they're like, oh, we need, like the traffic men are like, we need more. We need a juice. We're low on whatever. Like, we need another hit. Like they're jonesing for drugs, but it's juice. You don't know what it is though, but it's just juice. That makes him have powers. So, and he's basically like, no, you failed. Fuck you. Like, you don't get any of this. I'm going to have to get someone else to take care of these people. And then it cuts to him flying, Static flying around on his
trash can.
His trash can. Well, I don't know if this is a trash can lid or if it's a manhole
Maybe.
cover.
Oh, that's right. A metal disc.
A metal disc. So, but so that's actually how he gets around, like in general, is on top of like something like a metal trash can lid or something like that. I guess it has to be metal so we can like magnetize it. And whatnot. But yeah, so he's going to hardware, and I guess when he was in the mall, he found one of their vials that the traffic men dropped. So he takes it to hardware to be like, what is this? And then hardware's like, you know, I'll look into it, but like I got to analyze it, you know, good job basically. So he's helping out, but he's not quite like on the team.
He's on the fence.
Yeah, he's on the fence, but he's willing to help, kind of thing. So then this is one of my favorite panels that happens. He goes home, and his dad's like, "Oh, I gotta give you a haircut. Your hair looks all like, you know, ratty or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know about that." He's like, "I used to cut your hair in grade school, remember?" And then it cuts to like a little panel of him having like a PTSD flashback of like all the kids making fun of his hair.
That's right.
Because he like shaved his head all crappy, and like all these kids are laughing at him, and he's like, "I remember, Dad. I'm good. I got he says, "Of course your mother made me stop because you were getting beat up too much." So that was funny. I just thought that was good. They did a good job of seeing like the home life, you know. You got like a real feel for that. And then like after he goes upstairs to his room, he's hanging out with Red again, or Frida, and they're just talking. Oh, that was another 90s thing that I don't think about anymore because we all have cell phones. But this is a very phone centric, like telephone, home phone, where like he's on the phone, then his sister's on the phone, listening to him on the phone, and like you can hear the conversation, and they're talking, and so like it's like one of those things you don't think about anymore, which I thought was fun. I mean, it's the 90s only because now everybody has their own personal private phone, but back in the day, there was not. It was all like, oh, you have to have a party line basically in your house that anybody can listen on. So
get off the phone. I'm on the phone. Get off the phone.
Yeah. And so he's on the phone with his girlfriend while Frida's there. So she's kind of like, like in the corner. And then they just plan on doing something, you know, like hanging out or whatever. But I think basically it starts like a thing where he was supposed to hang out with her, but then she's like, "What are you up to?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm hanging out with Frida." And she's like, "What? You hanging out with Frida? You're supposed to hang out with me." And then it creates like a tension, like, "Oh, is Frida trying to get with him and all this stuff?" So the girls now know something's up between each other or whatever. So, but then he's like, "No, like it's fine. She's my friend or whatever." And he hangs up after they're done, or she hangs up on him actually. And then he's like, "Hello?" "Oh, it's a bad connection." And then he gets a call back, and it's hardware.
Hardware, yeah.
So you thought it was gonna be her, but it was like hardware.
He's like, "You need to come. I know what they're doing. I know why they want the bang babies."
Yeah, I analyzed it. It's fucked up. And what it is, does he say what it is in this one? I guess we'll just say, what it is it's blood.
Yeah.
So the juice that they're injecting, which is gross, is other people's blood.
It's bang baby's blood.
Yeah.
It's other heroes' blood.
It's other mutants, or I don't know if they're all heroes, but yeah, definitely other bang baby blood.
Yeah, he says they're basically either grinding up something of them or taking it out and turning it into a drug to make you have like some kind of powers for a limited time.
Right. So then when he hears that, he's like, "Oh crap, I can't let that happen. So I gotta be a superhero. So let's do this thing." So he puts on his old costume, you know, he rides out, he goes like I don't know if it's the heroes, like where they hang out. I don't know where what's it called? Their Hall of Justice or whatever, whatever it is. And so he goes over there, and then they're, you know, talking about everything. He tells them what hardware found. And then all of a sudden, like they're trying to come up with a plan, and they're like, "I don't know if we can do this." And then all of a sudden hardware comes out in his hardware costume.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, is that tape? Like, it's funny because this hardware costume has like, it looks like it has actual tape on it and stuff. Like, it looks a little bit jankier than maybe what it used to be.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of alluding to that. Like, it looks different. Because literally there is tape on it and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it looks like a lot of thrown together, like different metal pieces.
Yeah. So, so yeah, that's like the funny thing. So, but now, like, okay, so hardware is with them, and this is like where hardware actually comes into the comic for real and like joins like 100% kind of thing. And then once again, so this is issue 3 starting now. The cover is hardware and him and Static, and Static is saying, "I always wanted a sidekick," and then hardware goes, "Don't push your luck, kid." You know? So, yeah, basically this is the one where like stuff actually starts really happening. Where like, so now they're meeting at this statue, and they kind of throw some history of this area where there was a family named the Tower family, and they were like the original superheroes, kind of like Golden Age superheroes in the 20s and stuff. And they all died. I guess like something happened, like a fight happened here, and it collapsed on everybody, so everybody's dead. And so they left. They made a park above that like base that they had.
Yeah.
And then they made like a statue there. So they're looking. And I guess that's where they figured out where it was coming from. I don't know. I can't remember how they figured out.
Something about there's another hero, the Iron Butterfly, that like can like figure things out, and kind of told them like where to look. And
that's right. That's right. So yeah, they know. Okay, we gotta find our entrance into this cave or this base.
Yeah, underground layer.
Yeah, underground layer. And once again, it used to be for a superhero family, so like kind of like the Fantastic Four or something, you know. And or maybe like Challengers of the Unknown, even earlier than Fantastic Four. So, so yeah, they go to that, and then it cuts between this and them like getting into the base, and then like the two girls, kind of like, hey, what's going on? Like Madison, his girlfriend, is like what the fuck? Why are you like trying to get with him now? And then she's like, you know, like, I don't know, maybe I like him now, kind of thing. Like they're back and forth on it, and they both look super like serious. Like Madison's got glasses and like sunglasses. Like they look like they're meeting for like handing over illegal documents or something to each other. But yeah, even like Frida says, she's like, I'm not trying to take him, but even if I were, all's fair in love and war.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, she's after it. But yeah, so then you know something's gonna happen later on in this series with that shit, but they don't really go into all that stuff. That's kind of the last time they mentioned most of that.
Yeah.
But so now we're back in the lair because they found their way in.
Heroes gather. Oh, and hardware gives them all. He developed this little thing they all put on their wrist that will help them if they get attacked from hopefully losing their powers.
Oh yes, yeah, because so they found out that serum, the blood. Well, it's the blood of the Bang Babies. That's what is in the staff. The staffs like reverse your powers, so like you can't use them anymore, or they negate your powers, I guess. So they are wearing like bracelets that negate the negating, I guess. So they will have powers even if they get blasted by the stuff. And then when we said at the beginning, the heroes are meeting, we mean that group, the heroes,
the group heroes. Yeah.
So it's like Iota and everybody, all the ones we mentioned before. I can't remember all their Blitzen and I can't remember all their names. But yeah, so
they're all meeting, and Stag goes over the plan. I thought it was funny. His mom calls in the middle of the plan.
Oh yeah,
and they're like, "Put your phone on silent."
Yeah.
So they
gotta be stealthy.
They figured out, and they I guess the statue actually is partially where the opening is, and so like the really big, strong.
What is her name? Or
hero?
Its name? I don't know.
Well, he goes to pull up the statue to lift the covering so they can all go down. And I thought that was funny too. They all had like a tiny moment, and it's holding up the statue, and it's like, oh, come on, this is really heavy. And
payback.
Payback.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I thought you were strong. It's like, I am strong, but it's my sciatica.
Yeah, I have a bad back. So yeah, I like that they were like, you know, these are heroes, but they're not like in, you know, they're still people. They still have a sense of humor and stuff. So, but once they're down in the base, you know, they're sneaking in. They're like, you know, I think we're we're in the right area, and Hardware's like, I think we are too. And they're like, how can you be certain? He's like, call it a hunch. And then he shoots out his flames on his suit, and you just see all these bad guys around him. He's like, shit. So then, they start fighting. Everybody pretty much just starts like whacking everybody. Just, that's where you get to see kind of everybody's special, what they do. Yeah. Obviously, Payback's just pounding the fuck out of everybody.
And that's really where you see, like you said, Iota. She takes out the little bat. Oh, what are you gonna do with that? And she's like, whoop! Yeah, makes it big.
Yeah, it just starts beating the fuck out of people. And then so you get that, and you see like the one that's like, oh fuck, I forget their names. Sorry, these are new heroes to me.
Oh, her quip was, "I'm a grower, not a shower." That was.
Yes.
They all had their little moments like that. It was really fun.
So, okay. Gloria Mundi is the one I was thinking of. You see kind of like her weird cosmic power that she has where she like blasts people. But she says like kind of Thor-ish statements.
Yeah, her word bubbles are cool because the words are kind of, like the bubbles kind of like
they look like parchment or something. Yeah, and they say like fall before the wrath of a billion souls. Like, it's just like she's not cosmic. She gets her power from souls, which is super fucking weird and fucked up, but like cool at the same time. I don't know what that means. I don't know if she just like steals. Like, is she the bad guy from Mortal Kombat? Like, I'll steal your soul. Your soul is mine. Like that's kind of how she is. Except maybe she steals bad guy souls. I guess that's what it is. But yeah, you see Hardware just like shooting people, basically just blowing shit up and shooting stuff. So they're all fighting. Like Static is like, they say like, oh, we think we found like a big power surge over in this area. Yeah. And Static's like, okay, let me go check it out while you guys fight. So Static goes there. He busts open the door.
No, he goes to bust open the door. He's going to unlock it. And he's like standing there for 5 minutes trying to unlock it.
Oh, that's right.
That was hysterical.
He's like, I got this. And he's like, and it's like 5 minutes later. Like you just can't get it. So then he just blasts it open.
Yeah.
Which was funny. So then when he opens the door, you just see this like room. It kind of looked like an It when they get to his little lair.
Oh, yeah,
and all the bodies are hanging all over the place. Like,
yeah, that was
like, it was kind of like that where there's all these hero bodies. You see a bunch of people that we didn't know at the time, but after I researched it, see all these people from like Blood Syndicate and whatnot. And they're being drained of blood, while they're alive.
They have these tubes hooked in them. They're all like hanging from like metal devices in the ceiling.
Yeah, it's kind of like Alien, where they're kind of plastered to the wall, but they're not plastered. They're just hanging, but something's holding them up. But yeah, they're all just lining the floors and walls and everything. And so they see this, or he sees it, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then he gets approached by the dude in the
red hood.
And you're like, oh shit, it's the bad guy. And then he takes off his hood, and you find out. I thought this was funny. It's the guy. It's Tower. What's his name?
John Tower.
John Tower from the Tower family, who was like the Mr. Fantastic, I guess, of that family.
Yeah, he's old hero that everybody thought had died. Like the whole family had died, and then so it took Static aback. He's like, what the?
Yeah. And so, turns out he's the guy who is the bad guy. He's been drinking people's blood. Well, you don't know he's drinking people's blood yet, but you just oh wow, he's taking blood. And basically it's kind of I'm using young people's blood, but young superpowered people's blood to give me new powers and keep me young, kind of thing. So he's got everybody's powers of all the Bang Babies, basically.
Yeah, everyone he drinks, he gains their power.
Yeah, and once again, they don't say he's drinking them yet, because I thought that was really creepy when he does drink it. The way they showed, I was like, holy shit. But yeah, you just think oh, he's injecting it or whatever, like everybody else. But then, this issue ended way crazy, because he's talking to Static, and he's like, Mr. Tower or whatever, and then Hardware bursts in and was like, I got this one, kid. And then fucking Tower just blasts Hardware in half, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, holy.
They just killed Tower, or they just killed Hardware. That's crazy. And they actually show his body in half, his armor body in half. So you just think, oh wow, he just killed Hardware, or something. And Yeah, I don't know about you, but I thought that was super like, what?
It was, and it was crazy because at first I also was having a hard time. I know that he's like the main bad guy, but I was having a hard time taking him seriously because he's got like looks like a rubber suit and like a fire extinguisher on his back.
Yeah, he had a very
like
like a 1950s or like 40s adventure / superhero costume.
Yeah,
that he was still wearing. It's the same one he wore back in the day, which I thought was funny because he's like old now. He's like, let's see if this fits. Like, zipping it up. It's like, you're not the same size as you were. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
But yeah, but then he killed him. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, he killed him. And so yeah, like because of that, Static's like, I'm gonna get you, and he like zaps at him. But the dude's got so many different powers. He towers like just makes a force field, and then when he does that, he's like, I guess I don't have to wear this like disguise for you. You're like, disguise? Like he took off the hood.
Oh, that's right.
And then he like pulls off his skin, I guess, like his old man skin, and he looks like, I don't know, like a concrete human.
Some kind of
he's got red eyes. He's got like rock kind of skin looking, like white, like skin that's got all these cracks in it and everything.
Yeah, and he stood there and he's like, you can't defeat me. And he goes through, he's like, teleportation, energy projection, pyrokinesis, flight, weather control, shape shifting, and he just like listing off all of the things he can do. And
teleportation.
Like,
yeah. Like he does all this stuff while Static's like flying around trying to get him, telekinesis, all that stuff. And he says like, oh, they didn't just heal me, like his powers or the blood from them didn't just heal him. They changed him. So they actually made him like not human anymore, whatever he is. I don't know. But so Static's trying to fight him, and it ain't going too well. But he manages to free one guy named Sam. No, I always want to say Samwise. It's Wise Son is his name, and he's actually a member of the Blood Syndicate. So he's like one of the leaders, I guess. So yeah, like Sam. Samwise. I'm gonna say that every fucking time. Wise Son gets out of takes the pipes off of him that are draining him, and he like grabs the guy before he was about to get Static, and then he just throws Wise Son across the room, and this is where you see he drinks it. He's like I'll never let you go, like to Wise Son, like, I need everybody's blood here. And he just pulls a cup out that's full of, or he like fills the cup up with blood. He just fucking like pours it down his mouth. He's like, ugh. And then so Static's fighting him, and like he's like, oh, this isn't gonna work. Like he's got way too many powers. This ain't, like, I need help. So he like goes back to where everybody else was fighting, and he also he thinks Hardware's dead too. So he's like, fuck, this ain't gonna work. So he goes back to where everybody's fighting, and like all of a sudden he gets surrounded by the traffic men, and then all of a sudden Hardware shows up, and you're like, Hardware, I thought you were dead. And then it turns out, no, that was just a robot.
He's this. My legs are broken. Remember, dummy?
Yeah, like he saw me in a
remote
wheelchair,
controlling it from his little place where we saw him originally. He's like got his screens and he's controlling it from far away. He's remote controlling.
Yeah, he's like remote piloting it or whatever. So, of course he is, And so he's got a new suit that flies through the window, and he's like, "This is my second suit. This is my last suit. So don't fuck this one up." So then. He's fighting with everybody again. They all beat the traffic men finally. And then they're trying to figure out what to do. And Static's like, I got an idea. I'm just going to talk to him. Like,
appeal to his good nature.
I'm just going to, he was a hero once, so he must have that in him still. So let me go talk to him. And he just like walks into the area and he's like, hey. He's like, oh, you're here for a fight? He's like, no, I'm not here to fight. I'm just here to like talk to you about this before you turn us all into your blood supply. And the guy's like, this is one of my favorite scenes. He's like, Static approaches him and says, I'm tired of hiding. I want to talk. And the bad guy's like, talk? And he's like, yeah, talk. Is it an appeal to your better nature? And then the bad guy goes, interesting. You do remember that I want to drink your blood. But that was a great panel. But yeah, so then he's talking to him and he's trying to like you were a hero once. Like that must have meant something to you. You must have had values. You should like what made you do this, and like there's got to be some good in you. And then he's like, it's not gonna work. It's I need this blood is gonna happen. Like I'm never gonna give this up basically because I need it to live and that's all I care about. And he's like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to take care of you. And he's like, we? And then it turns out Static had gone back and like disconnected all the heroes that were in the bloodletting room. And so they're all like ready to go now. It's been like 10 minutes or whatever since he's been talking. So they've gotten charged back up. And there's just this awesome panel of like, I don't know, 50 plus heroes like running out.
Yeah.
And just like attacking him. So like, and all the Blood Syndicate, it looks like, everybody that you would want, I guess, attacking him. And so big fight, with him. Then, and that was the only thing I thought was kind of like, oh, they took him down pretty fast. But I guess technically it is all their powers against all their powers.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. But yeah, so they're taking him down. And then, so they beat him. And they're like, okay, like, what happens to him now? And they're like, don't worry. Gloria's like absorbed his soul into her like power source or what, I don't know what it is, like her billions of souls that she has that she can draw power from. She's like drawn it, and she even says like, within me lies the memory of billions of damned souls. There's certainly room for more. It's like, Jesus. Yeah, so that's what happens to him. And then it cuts back, sometime later that day or maybe later that week. Static's getting his suit ready again for to go out or to be around. And he's talking to Frida, and he's just like, I think I'm back, and that's how it
maybe
ends.
not full time, but
Yeah.
I get the call.
Yeah, he's like, and I'm back, and he puts on his, I guess it's the Milestone hat, so that's nice. It has like an M on it.
Yeah.
So that was the end. That was like how it ends. Nice and fun issue. But I thought the last two issues were really fun. Like really like the build up.
Oh yeah.
The build up to them was good because you're like, okay, I want to get used to Virgil as a person and all that, and then his family, and then but then once the heroes and everything started fighting, and you got to see their powers, and you got to see Static in action more and stuff, it was a lot more like, oh, this is great, and I just powered through all that stuff. So yeah. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, man. I was just gonna say in general, I really like Dwayne McDuffies' writing, and like I see those parallels from things I remember as a kid watching some of like some of the funniest things I remember from back in the day, and then like reading this, it's like, man, this was way funnier than I anticipated it to be.
Yeah,
and
well, even so going back to Blink and this, like comparing the two, Blink was him writing for Batman. So it has to have a certain, but he got to write Blink, which is a character he created for that. And then this is like his own creation. So you get to see like his ability to make really good storylines, and like the plots are awesome. Like I was sucked into this once it got past like, okay, what is this world that I'm not introduced to yet? Once it got past the first couple of pages of, okay, let me research this for a second and like understand this universe that they have. Once I got past that, I was like, okay, I'm like fully in the story. This kid is awesome. His life is awesome. His family's awesome. He's a good hero. All the heroes are different but similar. Like they remind me of some other people, but they are so different, or they have really cool ideas behind them, or like this is maybe how the original should have been done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or it's updated or something, like they have really good sensibilities for how to make these characters interesting and cool while still being familiar. But yeah, so I thought it was a really, really solid read, especially for never having read this character at all and not knowing anything about him. So other than he has electric powers. So, what would you give this one, John?
I would probably say an 8. I really liked it.
An 8. Yeah, I'll give this one a 7. Not because it's worse or anything. It's just it hit all the parts maybe if I read like the full early run, that one might have maybe if these ever come back in print, or we can find another website like this that has the original Static run. I want to read back and see. I want to get the original flavor, but this one just felt like a really good introduction to the character, and nothing groundbreaking or anything, but it was just a super solid. Like, you're gonna like this character.
Definitely, it makes me be like, oh man, I really like Static Shock, and I'm totally want to read more Static.
I wish there was a Static Shock title right now. But yeah. So I mean, really liked it. 7 for me, 8 for John. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I feel good. This was a great comic. I liked everything about it.
Yep, I agree. Well, on that note, I guess we'll say goodbye.
Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.